What's wrong with Amazon handling books? Well, for one, one of the things they do is they can undercut everyone else's prices by such a margin that they're not even turning a profit on the books themselves, just to drive everybody else out of business.
Let me see. I'm going to show you a good example of how much books cost on Amazon.
They will straight up wipe out everybody else's prices. And like, it's not a matter of like, well, why don't you just compete with them? It's like, you can't compete with them because they're Amazon. They can literally make negative profit just to drive everyone out of business because they have the power.
Oops.
It's like when you hear about video game consoles that don't turn a profit, and it's like, it's because they're all backed by giant companies that make their profit off of like brand recognition and market share, more so than the individual product actually doing it.
Yeah.
It's like they basically make the video game consoles out of like a sort of like a power grab, more so than because the actual idea that the console will ship enough copies and be like profitable per unit and stuff like that. Like, so it's only Nintendo that specifically profits off of their video game consoles and more or less treats them the way that you think capitalism works, whereas both Sony and Microsoft do not interact with the games industry the way you think capitalism works.
Yeah, no. They don't have to. They get to circumvent all that. So a good example of how they're killing the book market, we have one book retailer left, like one major book retailer chain left, because Borders is dead. Like, Borders boarded up and left. Barnes & Noble's it. I went on Barnes & Noble and I found a book on Amazon that is part of Amazon Editor's Picks for 2019 Top 20. Picked just a random book from it and compared the price. Amazon has the book for $15. Barnes & Noble has it for $21. How? How the hell is the exact same book? Same it's both of them are hardcovers, so it's not like a digital version. Somehow Amazon can sell that book for $15. And it's 2-day shipping, so prime shipping, free shipping. This book does not have free shipping.
And the margins get way wider than that.
Yeah, and I'm telling you right now, I'm telling you as a person who's in the industry to scour people's pricing and do price comparisons to tell you, you cannot compete with Amazon. You literally cannot. You would go bankrupt trying to have the same margins. It just doesn't work because they have so fucking much. Like, you don't realize how terrifyingly large Amazon is. You go to their, click where it says all, and you just can scroll through so much shit.
Yep.
Like, even Target and Walmart don't have nearly as much crap as Amazon does.
I've lost track of the original context somewhat now, but I remember hearing details that basically showed that, like, even at day one, they essentially cheated too.
What do you mean?
Because like from like as the company started, they also didn't they didn't start as like an honest, equal competition like storefront either. Like from day one, it was always like a crazy like magic startup that gets crazy funding through like roundabout ways that are not the way anyone thinks of when they talk about how capitalism is supposed to be like all about like supply and demand and pricing and so on. It's all like crazy venture capitalist baffling startup nonsense that made them from day one be able to just cheat at the game.
Yeah. They basically use their method of being a startup, and obviously fucking, in case you don't know, Jeff's family is not poverty stricken. They're a very affluent family. So they had plenty of connections, and it was basically, hey, what if we use the startup name, got a bunch of money before we had to, like before you have a certain amount of employees, and then and because basically like we're doing that right now as a
we have to do your quest, huh?
Yeah, I still have to do the
quest. Do we just go do your
quest?
quest?
I can go do it if you want me to.
Or like we could just focus on doing your quest so you can finally have your cat form, but I kind of wonder if it involves doing anything or just fucking talking to a bunch of druids. Is it just a commute? It might just be a commute, because mine was a commute. I mostly just went back and forth across the whole map a lot, and it was really annoying. And there wasn't actually a quest to do where we go and kill something or do a dungeon or whatever.
Travel to these are all in Moonglade, so I have to travel to Moonglade in order to do my quest, which I have a teleport to, so I can instantly teleport.
You have to visit the druid locations.
Yeah, but I have to go visit the fucking druid locations. But yeah, so Amazon is they cheated the system, and now they're kind of the system, and so it's the funny, wacky world of American capitalism. But
nothing has freaked me out more than some of the ideas where they discuss like this or that company that basically just promises this vague concept of having value, builds up a bunch of employees, keeps getting funding over and over and over and over again based on the promise that it'll someday have some kind of value, and then the owner just sells it off before the whole thing comes crashing down. And it's like it's little like fake companies with pretend progress where nothing ever happens, and it's like it keeps happening.
So for those of you who might be, if lack for a better word, young, you don't probably remember Enron and
Oopsie.
Or Exxon, sorry, Exxon Mobil. So if you aren't aware of the story of Exxon or
you're right.
Not is it Enron?
You're right.
It's Enron, right?
Shenron.
It's EXX.
From like the anime. Is Shenron a Dragon Ball dragon?
Yeah, yeah, wait. How do you pronounce this fucking thing? Okay, hold on.
I think Enron and Exxon are both companies.
Tell me
You're going the wrong way.
I know, I'm just...
Turn around. Look, another Shen.
That's not right. Okay.
Anyways,
Exxon Mobil.
I think there's an Enron, but there's also an EXXON.
Yeah, so Exxon Mobil was a gas company, and they at some points got into the day trading market, but they didn't have anything. Like, so they were a publicly listed company with no actual things. So they're a company that basically bought they bought stakes in oil and gas companies, but they themselves never owned anything, and they continued to sell their ownership of nothing for a profit. So they would convince people to invest into them, and they would then invest that money into purchasing oil and gas, and that would make their customers a profit. But they never did that. Instead, what they did was they just took more money from people and then paid the people that they took money from. And so they kept this Ponzi scheme going to such a degree that eventually the company itself literally had nothing. It owned nothing. No one even knew what the company itself did, except for 3 people who were in on the Ponzi scheme. And this is a company that had like a Super Bowl ad for nothing. So yeah, it happens. You can do a lot of things until someone tells you you can't.
Chat's saying them that it bothers them that Kickstarter, like board games on Kickstarter, are like basically finished products that are being sold via that format and all that. I got mixed feelings about that. Just because, like,
I don't know. I never buy anything.
Like, Kickstarter's a weird. Well, like Kickstarter, like for a video game, is like the vague promise of like how maybe this will happen one day, and like you get a bunch of funding for your game, and then
I kickstarted
and then like
Shovel Knight.
Then like years later, you find out how it turns out. It was good for Shovel Knight and FTL, and I
invest in Yooka-Laylee, and it turned out the biggest fucking mistake of my lifetime.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad ones. But the thing about board games is that a board game itself, you can fully develop a board game before you ever
have a board.
Kickstart it. Because you can make it out of paper and cardboard, and it looks like garbage poopy butts. It just is bad.
Yeah.
And then you can play test it just to hell. And then when you finally have a game you're happy with, you can then kickstart it and actually get involved with like the process of, you know, making the art assets. But like, it's interesting because like the in a video game, you come up with like the basic premise maybe and the art style, and then you have to kickstart the entire development process because that process of developing it involves dozens of people being paid a wage for years. But for a tabletop game, you can test out and and develop the entire actual game part of the game from scratch, basically for free, or like a couple people can do it basically as like a hobby essentially.
Yeah.
So the reason why tabletop games instead have Kickstarters is to achieve the reality of getting the game to people at that point. Because the act of,
it's just you're
just
paying for you're basically paying for production is what you're paying for.
Because like the very process of developing a video game is itself a risk because it inherently takes money. But
yeah.
differently,
But also you can't
board
just make
games, the risk is the act of giving it to people. Because like video games are actually way less risk. You can print out a ton of copies of game,
and then fix it later.
And it doesn't cost that much because it's just a fucking disc. Discs are really cheap. But
also you can change
also indie
like,
games that are being
kickstarted
literally don't have physical copies. So the act of getting the finished game to your audiences is you just fucking upload it to Steam. Like it's like that's not where the risk is. So like it's just that Kickstarter has a different role to play in tabletop games because you need to create physical copies of all these things, which themselves take up big boxes, and those big boxes have to like you have to get stores to agree to stock those big boxes in their stores, which they don't want to do because the boxes are big and because there's all the other boxes that are competing. So if you go to any hobby store, you just see the same like 5 games over and over again. You see Clank. You see the Haunted Hill on the House or whatever. You see Dixit. You see Catan. You see Carcassonne, and like Monopoly and Splendor. Like it's like the same like 7 games over and over again because those are the ones that sell, and they don't want to take risks because they have to dedicate an entire aisle to just that handful of tabletop games alone, let alone the risky ones. So like it's really hard to get your tabletop game into stores to sell it. So in a lot of ways, the Kickstarter model of just kickstarting the game and essentially using Kickstarter as like a pre-order system, and then everyone kickstarts it, and then you create and ship that many copies to those people, is kind of one of the only ways for Kickstarter games to survive as an industry. And the reason why tabletop games have taken off so much over the last like 5 years and been like rejuvenated in a way that they weren't before is kind of because of Kickstarter. Like it's kind of how this happened. And I say that as somebody who like Marty kickstarts 1 billion tabletop games, and I've talked to a bunch of people in the industry somewhat, and also like I've hung out with somebody who was like I've been in a playtesting session where you're playing, you have like a bunch of like laminated pieces of paper that somebody drew on with Sharpie because it's the beta of the game that's going to eventually have art assets once they finalize the mechanics and everything.
I have cat form.
Like I've had that whole experience, and it's like, yeah, that's just kind of the reality of the format. It's a niche market that if you want products to exist in, it kind of has to have this kind of way of propagating. Otherwise, it just dies again, like it historically has. Are you about to get me killed? I'll revive you in a minute if I can survive this fight.
Now the guy's almost dead. I did good. Hold on a second, I'm gonna grab some water.
Ouchies. I got mega ouched. It was very hurt. Bad. But yeah, generally speaking, the Kickstarter part just has a different role to play in a tabletop game than a video game. Because the game has already been developed. It's just you have to make a physical product and give it to everybody. Which is actually that's actually more akin to how Kickstarters normally work. Most Kickstarters are actually more likely to be there's a finished prototype of a project and they just have to physically manufacture them for the audience, as opposed to video games where they're promising a hypothetical thing that might exist one day, hopefully. Oh god, hope it works out.
Yeah, video games get kind of a little bit of a leniency because you can kind of go like, it's gonna take X amount of time.
It's the most worrying thing to kickstart.
Yeah, video games are not. Video games are the worst.
Because like everything else on Kickstarter, if you ignore all gaming content, is way more likely to be like Shark Tank premises, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Like here's my wacky invention. You want to kickstart it? And then like in those cases, they usually already have like a they usually have some kind of like prototype or even finished product, and they just need to like get somebody to manufacture it, and so that's what the Kickstarter's usually for.
Yeah, which is, I mean, I've done that. I do it all the time. I like the one I recently did was I kickstarted a product that converts the Switch hub, like the Nintendo Switch hub, into just a dock that you plug, or a thing you plug into the wall. So it's just it looks like a charger for a wall, but it has an HDMI out and a USB port on it. So you can just plug in your Switch via USB-C and then plug your TV into the HDMI port. There's your Switch. Which sounds like a great product to
Chat,
me.
I get the criticism of like when a company's already successfully shipped games in the past, and then they're still kickstarting their future projects. But like at some point,
they're like making multiple products at a time.
Well, like they kickstarted a board game, and then they turn back and kickstart the next one too, and so on.
Sorry,
like they ship it.
They just keep back to back.
They ship it and everyone gets it and all that, but then their future projects continue to be kickstarted even though they've successfully funded things before and would presumably have money. But I'm not sure if it really works that way. Like I don't know if they necessarily have the money and the infrastructure to do it from scratch just because they successfully shipped before.
I remember watching a video about this, like talking about how do Kickstart budgets work. And I remember a lot of it was like, actually you don't really end up with a company at the end of it. You end up with like a successful or a failed product.
I think about how like Double Fine and Harebrained Studios both continue to kickstart every project they make too. If you want to use a video game example, like the Shadowrun people, when they brought back Shadowrun for Shadowrun Returns, they kickstarted that. But then they also went and kickstarted Shadowrun Daggerfall or whatever it's called. Not Daggerfall. That's Elder Scrolls, but Dagger something, whatever it was called. And then they also kickstarted Shadowrun Hong Kong, and then they kickstarted that mech game that I just played like a week ago, Battle Tech, I think it's called. And Double Fine kickstarted like 6 different games back to back, and so on.
Yeah, it happens.
And it's like sometimes it's just the only way to make that money work. And to some extent, because of the nicheness of like tabletop stuff, I feel like it might be reasonable that they have to like well, this is where we were able to find our funding before, is our audience looks at our Kickstarter, so we'll kickstart the next one too.
I mean, like that's actually been a contention with
and if you have
anime lately.
And if you have a consistent system for pre-ordering the game before it's made, they know how many to make.
Yeah, that also does help with, especially for board games. That helps a lot, being able to know, like, oh, if we only have to make this much, which is going to cost this much. Yeah.
Otherwise, you get fucking, what's that company? The U-Draw tablet from THQ. You get THQ'd. You're this company for all these years, and you're making all these games, and you have a whole long history, and then you make the U-Draw tablet. You make one. Like that company got destroyed. They probably made a series of mistakes generally, but the big one was that the U-Draw tablet sold super well on the Wii, and they're like, we should make it for the other consoles, and so they did, and they made way too many of them, and no one bought them, and then THQ didn't exist anymore.
Yep.
Just like that. Like that completely fucked the entire company because they tried to make physical hardware and they made too much of it under the assumption that hopefully it would sell. And
Rock Band had the same. Rock Band did have the same struggle, and Guitar Hero had the same struggles. Like when you get into a peripheral market, it's a gamble. You have to hope that people are willing to buy. I mean, consoles are that way. That's why Nintendo always has a shortage, is because they always under assume how many people will be there. Like they keep thinking that like, oh, if we just get like 20,000 units, we'll be safe from overstock.
There's a documentary that was funded by, I think it was Shut Up and Sit Down. I think it was those people. Those guys are great. Shut Up and Sit Down are the same people that do Cool Ghosts.
Oh.
And they did they're the ones that did that Twilight Imperium Twilight Imperium review of 3 that has like them cosplaying as like the Emirates of Hassan and stuff like that, and saying those lines. I think you might have seen it already. That's like
Yeah, I
saying
think
some of
I've
those
seen, like,
lines like,
bits.
no, I just need that star system for just a turn, for just one turn.
Yeah.
And then like flash back to like later and it's like, no, I just need your home system for just a turn, and like those kinds of conversations you have when you're playing Twilight Imperium. They did a documentary of the production of Twilight Imperium 4th edition, and one of the things that comes up is like the people that made Twilight Imperium look back at the 3rd edition as being unmakeable. They look back at that and they're like, we couldn't make that now if we wanted to, and they did want to. They had, like, when they're making 4th edition, they had to downsize a bunch of how they were doing things because they had this idea that they're going to have like a unique ship designs and pieces for every race, for example. Like all of your ships were going to be unique because they're going to have a whole separate set of plastic pieces for every race, and like a bunch of other ideas. But they literally were confined in their design to how big the box was allowed to be, and they couldn't even make the box as big as Twilight Imperium 3 was, which was you've seen it at Marty's place. It's a fucking monster. He displays it like a mural in his tabletop collection.
How else you put it away?
It's such a mega box.
1 and 2 are also still ridiculous sizes, and they're like,
yeah, but Twilight Imperium 4 is so much smaller, and it came down to like they literally can't make a box that big. Not only do they not make boxes of that dimension anymore, but no one will stock boxes of that size in their store. That's the biggest hurdle. Like there's a lot of really complicated realities to board game, as the industry as a whole, that people might not be ready to think about when they're used to thinking about things in terms of like video games, because video games are very easy to distribute because they're either a disc or they're just a download, and both of those are so easy to stock and ship everywhere. Like I worked at Best Buy. They have no trouble shipping the most garbage, like stocking the most garbage Wii games on their shelves. They have the space. But you know what they do take issue with? Stocking fucking Tony Hawk's Shred. They were very unhappy with Tony Hawk's Shred and how it wasn't leaving. It was still there. Like I had a fucking skateboard attached. Because I worked at a Best Buy when the Rock Band 3 instruments came out, including the Pro guitar that was a real guitar, and it was a giant box. Oh, God, and there was also the Tony Hawk Shred, the sequel to Tony Hawk Ride. Because once again, like the THQ U-Draw tablet, Tony Hawk Ride sold reasonably well, and they wanted to make, but it wasn't like a profitable thing necessarily, and they're trying to make a profit, so they quickly churned out the sequel, Tony Hawk Shred, where they could repackage the existing hardware from Tony Hawk Ride in order to sell the same hardware they still had sitting around for this new sequel, basically. So they're trying to, they essentially made, they had the THQ U-Draw tablet problem, where they tried to fix it by making a sequel to U-Draw, essentially, so they could still sell the same tablets that they still had, but for that stupid motion control skateboard. I don't remember the exact context, but like Tony Hawk Shred was practically like a record holder for lowest selling video game. Wow. Like it sold a few thousand copies, like not even tens of thousands. Like no one bought it at all. I don't remember exactly what the number was, but I saw the stat at some point, and it was like a number so low that it seemed impossible that any AAA video game developer put out anything that ever sold that few copies. Like it didn't seem like it could possibly happen, but it had. And it was Tony Hawk Shred that it happened to. It sold no copies. And then I was working at Amazon while it was out, and it was like we just had a chunk of shelf at the very back corner of the video game section that was just covered in copies of Tony Hawk Shred because they just were, where do you put them? No one wants them. Ah. I mean, Best Buy will end up like stomping on all of them and then calling it a write-off and being like, I don't know what happened to it, just all of it broke. That was just a mess. Yeah, it's any kind of physical goods is a big risk. I remember that being a huge issue for because when I worked at Best Buy, it was during the time before they had Mac. The same one, probably. Yeah, the same one. I built the Best Buy that Keith eventually worked at. So you were there when it was new. Yeah, I was there as it was being built. So like there were parts of the store that weren't finished yet, and we were there stocking it. What a lovely company that I don't resent at all. Yeah, I definitely haven't gone to weird extents to like avoid walking into a Best Buy for the last 6 years.
Do you really actually avoid going to Best Buy?
I don't go to Best Buys.
Not
Unless I think I have to. I've been to a Best Buy so few times in the last 6 years, and I used to be there way more before I worked at one.
Like, what's better is Mackenzie works at Best Buy. Because it's a store, and it's the same Best Buy, by the way. The same Best Buy that both me and you
no, Max worked there too. Max worked there as a seasonal temp during the Christmas months while I worked there.
Fucking store.
Yeah, everyone we know has worked at the same Best Buy.
But
it's horrible.
We had, so when I started working there, we had Best Buy didn't have the deal with Mac yet, or Apple, to have the Mac section. And I remember that was a huge ordeal because in the contract, the Mac laptops had to be separate from the Windows computers. Like, that was the stipulation, that they would not be allowed in stores unless they had their own section.
I remember that, yeah.
God, what a
the PCs and Macs were very clearly segregated from each other.
Yes, because all the Apple stuff is in the Apple
every
section.
Apple product had its own area. There was a fucking designated like iPod aisle. It was infuriating.
Because they have it twice.
It's such a waste of space.
So in the Mac section, you can find the tablets, the watches, the computers, and the phones. In the phone section, you can find the tablets and the phones and the watches, because there's a one area where all the Mac stuff has to be, but the store isn't built that way. The store is built on the assumption that there is a computer section, a phone section, a games section. So like when shit like that happens, it's like, it's very tough because Best Buy has to then go, okay, well, we have less space now because we have to put these Macs in this particular area. And then so then it goes into the thing of like, well, if more people started making computers, there's not enough room in the PC section for more PCs. So like everyone gets one laptop. Every company is allowed to show one laptop off. Everyone's allowed to show one desktop. And it's really dumb.
I was especially resented Apple products because they were always in their special caged off like glass sliding door lockbox.
Oh yeah, you always had to call like a specific person who had the Mac keys.
Yeah, because like the fucking
Furious Stone. Keith, is that normal in geology? A Furious Stone spirit?
Just fucking Best Buy doesn't trust its employees.
I mean, I wouldn't.
They treat you like a criminal they treat you like a criminal in your own store. So if you sell a product to a customer successfully, you still can't go get the product for them. So you spend all this time doing the sales tactics that they want you to do, and then at the end you end up losing the customer half the time because it takes people so long to give you the keys to give them the product, and they're eventually like, I got things to do, I'm gonna go. And they just fucking leave eventually. Because like,
the thing that's
all
annoying,
you do is sit there like you're asking mommy and daddy to come give you the keys so you can continue, because like you're just not allowed to. And it's like it was miserable.
Yeah, it sucks. And what bothers me the most is that those glasses are supposed to... Oh, fuck. What is this thing? What just showed up here?
Scary chimera.
The glass is supposed to exist for you, because you, the customer, are gonna steal. That's a given. But it ended up being a punishment for like employees because they decided that it would be cheaper to not make keys for every single person and have to keep track of changing locks if an employee walked away with the keys. So they only give it to specific people that they know they can intimidate into never stealing the keys because they're in a management position and they will never get another management position unless they comply.
Oh god, another one's coming.
Let's run.
Is there a reason you weren't a bear? Oh god, here he comes.
I wasn't a bear because I was trying to make sure I didn't get killed.
Oh god, you're level 22.
Yeah, I'm not ready for this.
These things are level 28.
Yeah. It's okay, we'll kill this one.
Well, we
No, we won't.
Is that what's gonna happen? I don't know if that's gonna happen.
Shit, we're gonna die.
I don't know if I believe you right now. I feel like it's so clear at this.
Are you...
I
don't have enough mana. I'm out of mana. I'm just gonna punch this thing a lot.
It's gonna be the end of our lives. Shit, which one's damaged? There we are. Okay.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. I'm keeping you afloat. Stomp. Oh no, one of them resisted.
Oh no. This isn't looking very good right now. This is gonna be way more manageable the moment the matriarch dies, because the other one's actually way lower level.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Matriarch is the problem.
Burn!
Here.
Save me! Aggro it!
I'm trying.
Aggro it!
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna die. I'm about. Oh, there you go.
Oh god, there's the basilisk came from behind. That was the real problem here. I don't have any maple seeds, so I can't resurrect you.
You have a mat for your resurrections. What a pain in the ass.
Because druids suck.
You have mats, and fucking paladins take an hour. They have to wait an hour.
I mean, paladins are the superior class. No one
I can
ever...
just fucking res anybody with no cooldown. It just takes a lot of mana, which is nothing compared to what everyone else has to deal with. It does take 50% of my mana.
God damn. No, not another chimera. Okay, I'm leaving. Forget this. Oh, God. Why are we in this area? I am way too underlevel for this.
It's just where the quests are. In my defense, the quests weren't marked as being level 28. There's 26 and 25.
Segregation at its best. You should see supermarkets, which are the real...
Oopsie, went the wrong way.
Oops, did not mean to do that. There you go. What's it called? Yeah, like supermarkets are really weird with how they deal with food. It's great. Sometimes you're like, can this aisle have cheese on it? No, this is the no cheese only aisle. It's like, oh fuck, sorry. And then you go to other places and you're like, why is the cheese next to the meat? And it's like, that's normal. We do that. So everybody's weird. Retailers are weird. Capitalism is weird. Why did I spawn so far away from my body? Can you not just build? Oh, because I'm going the wrong direction.
Did you also die?
Can you not just... Yeah, I did. I'm also trying to figure out a quick way to get to the other side of this mountain.
I don't think there is.
Yeah, I'm not thinking there is.
Mountain ranges in vanilla WoW were very much designed to be walls. That's how all the boundaries of every zone work too.
Yeah.
It's actually really funny to see like an overhead of WoW rendered in like graphics and see how many of the areas are just a weird rectangle. Like it's like it looks like a brick wall. Like it's a bunch of rectangle zones that just each all magically have like an outline of mountains around them. It's a silly visual. It's a really inorganic looking world on its macro scale.
Yeah. You know what I forgot I realized? There is with Amazon, so if you have an Alexa device, there's an option to ask your Alexa device to tell you the news, but only good news, like only news that makes you feel good. Which I thought was great. I love the idea. Can I ask Alexa
to only tell me roller coaster news? Like all the news, and I mean like emotional roller coaster news.
Oh yeah, so you're like, oh okay. Oh.
Yeah, it's like this puppy has diabetes, but it found a sponsor, but it was hit by a car.
That was a video for some more news.
Which it survived without any injuries. But the driver died. Like it just keeps going. No, that was the thing on Some More News. That was the episode he called. That was like Some Good News or something like that. Yeah, it was a whole episode of good news that wasn't good news.
Yeah, I love the one.
Some More News is a
kid raises enough money to get adopted. What? He's like, wait, he had to pay to get parents?
He had to sell lemonade in order to get adopted. To pay for his own adoption.
What a feel-good story.
Wow, this isn't dystopian at all. It's a good story. And yeah,
And then we
because
had
that's the type of
another
things
one.
people always share.
Did you
It's like,
see
wow, it's so uplifting how everyone tried so hard to solve this problem and they fixed it. Even let's not question the existence of the problem. Oh God.
There was another one that I saw like on.
No, Some More News is like the best channel.
Oh, it's the greatest
so
channel.
fucking funny. Are you happy I
saw
showed
one
you that?
Yeah, I love that. I love that guy. That guy is basically how I feel internally all the time.
He's so cathartic.
He's just like looks at something. He's like, because that's normal. Like, and he's just like so unraveled by the situation because no one else seems to be.
It reminds me of how I felt when I first saw Lewis Black until I shortly afterwards outgrew him. Because his particular rage news was very shallow.
Yeah.
But when I was 14, this was deep. Literally, it was literal. Like, I'm 14 and this is deep.
Yeah. I don't know. What upsets me the most is that he has these videos where when you watch them, you kind of go, oh no, wait, is that real? And the further
how
you
did you revive faster than me? Did you actually find a shortcut?
Yeah, there was a shortcut I found.
Oh. Shit, I went all the way around.
You can cut through Sunrock Retreat.
Fuck.
And then you can get to the very top of the mountain, and then you just jump off because
it's like a one-way jump.
Die. Yeah. I did the same thing for the dinosaur place.
Harpies threaten new life.
Is it Blockmadon? Is that what it is? Or is it over here?
An elemental war. Actually track these. All right, so I think the 3 quests here are new life, elemental war, and Harpies threaten. Trying to actually track them so I can see what we're doing.
Oh yeah, am I tracking? I am tracking every quest I have. I only have 12 quests. So.
Oh, it's a lot if they're all on the screen. On this, I mean the sidebar, not the map. Why do I keep using fire on a fire? Whoever said fire with a fire is an idiot.
I mean,
they're probably a member of the fire lobby that wants more people to die to fire. Like, oh man, here comes the horrible fire. Like, don't worry, honey, I've got fire. Oh no, that made it worse.
Oh no.
This is way worse. Oh, Desolus is nearby. I always forget where Desolus is. Right there. This path leads. That path behind me leads to it. It's right there. I'm gonna die. Ouchies.
Oh, so you mean basically what the onion is slowly becoming? It really gets like hard to swallow when people start quoting onion articles and you're like, yeah, this is real though. It's like, oh no.
Well,
oh no, we failed.
The subreddit, not the onion.
Yeah.
Based on the idea of like hard headlines that sound like onion articles, but they're actually just real, for better or for worse. Did you see
the one where that recently happened, where someone made a trolling Facebook post about firing any Starbucks employees that say Happy Holidays or that say Merry Christmas, because like screw like conservative Christians. And like people got so mad, Starbucks had to like say that wasn't real, like this person didn't exist, but his username was like God, fuck, now I can't remember what his username. It was like something daddy 69. And like, so the news article is Starbucks confirms that I think it was Roland Daddy 69. It was like Roland Daddy 69 is not firing people. It's like, what is this? What is this fucking world we live in? Oh god,
you're sleeping. You're just leaving me to die.
Basilisk is fucking me.
Stop napping. I need help.
Yeah, this basilisk
Why
is
aren't
brutal.
you a bear? What's happening?
Because bear form doesn't charge
Aren't you
my thing
a feral
fast
boy?
enough. Yeah, but it doesn't charge my. I can't gain aggro fast enough. So I'm sitting here waiting for
You're not getting aggro
aggro.
with not bear.
No, I'm saying like I'm not generating enough rage to do damage, or to do my spell, which is to take aggro. Also, the basilisk is apparently resistant to every fucking spell I cast. Fuck you then.
Hooray.
I'm taking this stupid goddamn Chimera then. Come here, Chimera. There we go. Take something. God, this
My
basilisk
life is
sucks,
pain.
dude.
Why
These
is
things
it
are like
aggro-
immune.
They aggroed on me because I healed myself. Stop.
Yeah, healing yourself is a very aggroable ability.
They need to just cut this out. Leave me alone.
Okay, there we go. Just die.
We can live. I believe in us.
Yeah, we'll be fine. But yeah, I don't know. There's
Blasted away all my mana for no reason at the end.
news is dumb.
Boop, boop.
Everything is dumb. The one thing I think I hate the most about the current era is that we're in like everything feels like speed fire rounds. So like every news article feels like it can just come and go without any like weight. And it doesn't matter what happens. Like they could report something wildly inaccurate and it's fine because there's more things to cover right now. We've got more important things to deal with than fixing a bad news story. And it's like, no,
It's all about.
you need to.
Well, it's less about accuracy and more about clicks.
Yeah, but the problem becomes like, yeah, but you never go back and fix that. And people go back and reference those articles, which are false articles as it is. And then you have to keep following a trail to figure out what the truth of a false article is, which is like, what? Why? Like, it's almost like Trump showed up, said the media is fake and unreal, and then it became fake and unreal. Like, it purposely made itself bad to fit his whims.
Like there's two cases of bad media in the entertainment fields that I think I just recently like either retweeted or liked, like both of them were like. One of them was somebody made a parody image where like the where it's like here's the Xbox Series X. God, that's what they called it, isn't it?
Oh God, yeah.
And then
the
next to
Xbox
it was
Series X, and
next
then
to
a
it was like
PS5.
the hypothetical PS5 was just a
With a
black fridge, and people posted it like people were actually posting it as a real article and like as a real image, and it's like. And they're like, it's like, yeah, this person's been a credible source in the past. So it's weird how it's like a fridge-like console. Wow, it's crazy. Like they're taking it seriously.
Yeah, they're trying to like find a way to make this work. And the worst part is I don't know.
And I've seen another one for. I've already. Oh wow, you immediately lost all the health I gave you. How hard are they hitting you?
I mean, I don't have.
That was impressive. They immediately there's another one for Star Wars.
Also, I don't think I've received any health. I walked away from that fight like about.
No, I healed. No, while you said you were dying, I gave you a full heal wave.
Jesus.
And you like immediately lost it from like a crit or something. But there was a joke tweet where the guy was like, yeah, I just saw Star Wars Enter the Skywalker, or whatever the fuck it's called, Rise of the Skywalker, and blah 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 blah, like a legit sounding stuff. Then the tweet ends with like, and it was weird how like C-3PO just kept like just downing as many onions as he could, like he's just eating them whole, and like something along those lines. I can probably find this. Let's see.
Just like in the background of every shot, he's just going at it on these onions.
Yeah.
Oh my, I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me. These onions, I just can't. Like.
Oh yeah. Tweeting through tears, hashtag Rise of Skywalker isn't the best Star Wars film, but it's the ultimate Star Wars film, a truly stunning finale to a 9-film saga. Only weird thing was the amount of screen time spent on characters wolfing down raw Vidalia onions. I adored this movie. Then there's a second tweet. It's like, C-3PO was never my favorite Star Wars character, but he owns the Rise of Skywalker. From his antics with R2-D2 to his surprising buddy cop dynamic with Poe and his captivating monologue about never truly knowing the flavor and mouthfeel of sweet Vidalia onion. This is C-3PO's movie. And like fucking Entertainment Weekly included his tweets in their article about reactions to Rise of Skywalker without like it's not some random fan website, it's fucking Entertainment Weekly.
Yeah.
And they posted his tweets like it was like real news of some sort. It's like did you read it? And somebody in the comments was, oh god, that thing's elite and also not our objective. Someone is pointing out in the comments that apparently there's like Reddit threads that are trying to figure out like what the meaning is of the onions. Like they're trying to interpret the onions. It's like, what could it mean? What could it be referring to?
They think that it's real. Like the guy's, like legitimate
there's people
about this.
that don't get that it's because it's in the article. They're taking
What
it.
happened?
They're taking it as being
what's going
serious.
on?
We're being attacked by a lot of Furies.
Yeah, why? Why?
They're around. It's just a general problem. Yep.
It's just alarming though.
Yep. Oh god, I'm out of energy.
Yeah.
It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen though is the people taking that kind of stuff seriously and thinking that these are like legitimate opinions about Star Wars and not like somebody making a joke tweet. It's part of how silly it is that everyone's reporting on Twitter as if it's news constantly anyway.
I hate that. I hate when I hate that people post. I don't like that people can put a tweet inside of a news article for two reasons. One, because Twitter won't exist forever. So you're making news articles that you can't even reference in history. Like, because of those are hyper, like they're actual direct embeds.
Oh yeah, no, the tweets
if Twitter goes down
can sometimes
or changes
be changed
their API,
in certain ways.
Hundreds of news articles just can no longer have context for their articles, which is great. I love that idea. Secondly, people can just delete a tweet. Like you just pull that away. And even if people take a picture of it, there's no proof that existed at any time, except for like Twitter has to go out and like would have to verify that. But pictures are also not pictures, while they used to be a source of truth, have now become so diluted thanks to photoshopping. And like there's
not
so
even
many
photoshopping.
websites.
People know how to like press the hotkey to go into their browser's like page editor and literally change the real text of the tweet and then
But
screenshot
that's what I mean.
that.
So and there's also generators for that, like fake tweet generators. You just put in someone's username and it will get, put their name and icon over in the spot where it's supposed to be, and then you put whatever text you want and it'll come up with fake metrics for likes and retweets. And because there's this like so much of this, you need to stop, like people need to stop taking these like 5-second toilet thoughts and using them as news, because they're definitely not
more.
This forest sucks. It's just full
not
of
great.
everything.
I would like this quest to end now.
But yeah, it bothers me that there's not it bothers me that there's not a lot of accountability anymore, but there's also not any reason to be accountable, because you'll die. Like you die if you well, like seriously, like your organization, your company will just go under if it doesn't generate enough clicks and revenue. And that's not by being talking like a normal human. It's by being overly sensational. And this has always existed. Sensational media has always existed. The problem though is that there's so much of it. Like we're now connected to billions of
again.
Yeah, it likes me.
It wants to keep you.
I can go on Google
first.
and just type in
And you have a pet
Google.com and news. Oh wow, why?
And now some news.
Why is the first result Fox News?
Because it's the most popular news source.
Fox News isn't a registered news organization. It literally cannot register as one. It's entertainment. It's not.
They're just a big old bag of lies.
You fucking lied, Google. Second one, CNN. That's actually a news organization. You can go online and check their credentials. They are registered as a trade company or as a news company. Fox News is not. It cannot literally register.
Loot it.
I can't. Oh. I was like, I can't. Oh, my inventory is full.
Now I looted it.
There you go. But yeah, I can go on. Type in news on Google. I've 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 10 pages of news websites. I wonder which one is real. People don't have that time. I ain't got that fucking time. No, you don't have that time. Nobody has time to go fucking
another chimera.
read a news article, and then you have to do like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon just to figure out if it's true or not, because chances are it's by some fucking misquoted tweet.
I really wish I had a fire resistance totem.
I really wish
I have a poison cleansing totem and a frost resist totem.
I really wish I had a fear option so I could just fear enemies away, because I'm tired of these fucking enemies.
Doggo, bear enters maximum roar.
I don't even. I can't get
Gotta
any
engage
more.
the bork drive.
I can't get. Or actually, do I have any more bear abilities? Oh, I do have some bear abilities. I want that one. And I already have swipe. Or did you have swipe?
Did you not have your abilities equipped?
Oh, these are for cat form.
Oh, right. Because you can learn the cat form moves. It's what I had with my frost totem, as I was learning the frosts. I was learning more and more frost totems, because there's ones you get from finishing the level 20 quest. But then once you get level 22, they just start teaching you more of them. And if you don't have the totem yet, then it's like, well, you can't use them, but here they are anyway. And so you've learned cat form moves now, because they assume, since you're 2 levels past the milestone, that you must have learned how to cat by now, surely. Surely you would.
Oh my god, I didn't know that was... Wait, that's a real slogan?
Who would reach level 22 without learning how to cat?
Fox News' slogan is fair and balanced, most watched, most trusted. What? What? You can just say that and it's true? Like, that's... How are you allowed to lie like that? That's amazing.
I think it's I think the second and third are technically true. I think they are the most watched and most trusted. It doesn't note that most trusted doesn't mean correct. It just means that people believe them. Which is sadly probably true.
Real honest opinion. That's a slogan?
That's totally what news is your opinions, man.
Also, like, okay, so that's a slogan.
There we go.
Wikipedia's first thing is Fox News has been described as practicing biased reporting in favor of the Republican Party.
All right. I'm hearthing.
Wait a second.
Goodbye. Today's over.
Where are you hearthing to?
I'm hearthing to the crossroads, but it's 3 hours. We're good. We'll come back here tomorrow or next week to deal with
next week.
The number of kills we need to do for whatever the subjective is still. I'll have to fly to Stone Talon because I didn't set my hearth.
And I will need to...
And then I'll turn those quests in that week because we finished 2 of them. Or I finished 2 of them.
I don't think I grabbed
I can't tell what you're up to.
Like a dummy. Yeah, I never know what to grab, and I don't want to just grab everything, but I also don't know what to grab.
But most importantly, you don't want to pay attention.
That too. I need to go to blacksmith. That's what I need to do. I need somebody to go tink tink on my armor because it's broken.
Tink tink. You broke your armor?
Well, I died like 6 times.
Andrew!
I can't. I cannot die. I get like one-shotted. You saw. I got punched once and I like crumpled onto the floor. I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
No, you gotta be periodically repairing whenever we go back to base. My armor's still at 70%. You didn't die 7 more times than me.
I don't know.
You just aren't repairing. You gotta keep on that shit, or you're gonna be in big trubs.
Yeah,
maximum trubs.
Good anyways. My armor's all poopy stuff.